This is Boxes and Briefs, a podcast with real-life business stories. But we will be asking the hard questions and challenging traditions. So broaden your thinking with fresh perspectives and solve problems for business success. Welcome to Boxes and Briefs. We have an episode today for business startups, entrepreneurs, and in the pod with us we have Richard Conway. He is an entrepreneur, father, author, and investor. He is the founder and CEO of Pure SEO, New Zealand's most awarded search agency. Hey, Richard.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Very welcome. Talk to us about your business. What is it? What does it do?
So we get websites higher on Google. We drive people to buy stuff, take actions, and promote websites. Digital marketing, really across the field.
Okay. When and how did you start that?
So I started in 2009. Came to New Zealand. Didn't know anyone in New Zealand. Thought I'd walk into a job, but no one wanted to employ me because I had no Kiwi experience. So I thought
that's rude.
Yeah, so is what it is, isn't it? It worked out right in the end. So I just thought, start my own thing. A few things I looked at, and decided Pure SEO, just on a kind of, out of all the ideas that seemed the most sort of, doable.
Yeah, I remember you talking way back in the beginning about how it was kind of a non-existent thing in New Zealand.
Yeah, there were a few people doing it, but like at least two out of the sort of three bigger ones, two of them were dodgy as, and you could see they were dodgy as, and they never would have got away with what they did in the UK.
Right.
And so it kind of, I thought there's probably room for people who do it transparently and ethically.
Yeah. So were you doing it in the UK before you came to New Zealand, or did you just get here and then say, I'm just going to start up an SEO business?
So I wasn't doing it as such. I was running a company for someone else, and we were spending £1 million a year on Google ads,
wow.
A few
£1
of my
million
mates
back then.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was interesting, and we were using third parties, and I just thought there's an opportunity out here, and might as well have a go.
Yeah, obviously it was an opportunity, because what does the business look like today?
We got an office in Auckland, in Melbourne, in Manila, around 80, 90 people, several hundred clients.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's big growth. Let's find out how you did it. How did you fund it in the beginning? Was it just working your butt off, or did you have an angel investor? How did it start?
So to start it, put about $200 in, and I got some guy to build a website, and I got John Malloy, who I think you know, did the logo for a bottle of Grey Goose vodka.
Those are the days.
Yeah, they were good days, I have to say.
Yeah, no, it's good. We still got the logo today, funnily enough, 15 years later. But it was really about going out and just meeting people and just getting out there and doing the best work you possibly can. I think in the early days, you'll over-service people because you just want to get the opportunity.
Yeah. And I see that, like, whenever you look up Pure SEO, it's won so many awards, and you're known as New Zealand's most awarded search agency. Was that like a strategy?
Yeah, well, all that stuff. Like, I'm an introvert. I don't like getting up front and centre, but I kind of decided when I started the business, you kind of got to put your head above the parapet. And the awards, speaking at events.
David Awards, Google, Deloitte, Westpac, Entrepreneurs Organisation, AUT, EY, IAB.
Yes.
There's a lot.
Awards slot.
In essence, it's marketing. We've got to market ourselves, because if we're going to say that we can market other businesses, if we don't do it ourselves, then that's
true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are awards out there though where you buy the award. Have you heard of those ones? It's kind of
we get emails the whole time.
Yeah.
Don't bother with that. Part of the awards thing as well is it's like everyone gets a buzz from it, and so it's good beyond the public recognition. It's good internally, culturally.
Yeah.
Like when we won that David Award, we got the front cover of New Zealand Business Magazine, and we had, I think, 10 staff at the time, and so got everyone involved, and it was a silly cover, but it was cool. And people still remember it, and
I still remember it.
It's a real moment to celebrate your success as a team too, eh?
Yeah.
And it's surreal. You look back, like it's surreal coming from a one-man band up to the size we are.
Yeah. Well, I know that award applications take a lot of time and effort. So for someone who's starting up, where would you advise them to go? What are the good quality awards to chase?
So if you're really little, the David Awards is pretty easy.
Yeah.
I don't think it costs any money to enter.
Mm-hmm.
And all these things, actually, it's good business practice anyway, because you've got to look at your business, you look at what you've done right and wrong, and a lot of things in life are about the way you look at something, right? Because two people can look at the same thing in a different way. Like you could come in and say you've been at home and you've done loads of things, and your partner could come in and complain about the one thing you haven't done, or they could see all the things you have done. And
Right.
it's the same
Just
things
perspective.
happened. Yeah. And so I think if you focus on like what you have done and you learn from what's not gone right, anyone can do that.
Yeah. So it's a good business development tool, is submitting for awards and looking at what you've done.
Yeah, and psychologically, it's because you very rarely stop and look at what you've achieved, and it forces you to stop and look at it, and actually consider whether some of the things were right or some of them weren't right.
Good. Okay. So other than the awards strategy, what else did you do to grow it?
So I speak at events. Like I remember the first time I was asked to speak at an event, I couldn't sleep for 2 weeks beforehand. I don't like doing that stuff.
Oh, I would be the same. Yeah.
But ultimately, and I still don't like it, but it's got easier over time, and getting in the media and things like that. The more things you get, the more people know about you. I actually wrote a book for Penguin Random House in 2014, something like that, 2015, and all that kind of stuff. It just helps
profile.
Yeah, and they say with marketing, people interact multiple times before they contact you, and so.
Yes.
It's being at those different touch points. It's being visible, and
So you really put yourself out there as an expert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole Penguin Random House thing was quite daunting as well, because you are putting your head above the parapet, and some of the stuff is like it's opinion as opposed to fact, and so I was quite a little bit worried about people having a go at me. But
did you struggle with imposter syndrome at all?
Oh yeah, still do.
Still do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What do you do to get over that?
So I think the thing is, you just got to get on, ain't you?
Yeah.
Everyone kind of experiences it, I think, and you do something every day to push forward. It might only be small, but that creates big stuff. So I think it's probably not a bad thing having imposter syndrome, because it keeps you on your toes and it keeps you questioning things.
Yes, we've sort of spoken about this a lot lately, so we're kind of wondering whether it's kind of like that thing, is being hard on yourself really good because it keeps you going, or is being hard on yourself too hard on yourself sometimes, and you're never going to actually celebrate or recognize your own success, and that can be sort of, I don't know.
True, it's a bit of a balancing
Yeah.
But
yeah.
How did you balance, like, when you're starting up a business, you have to put in all of the work all of the time until you can afford somebody else to come in, right? So I know that you've had a family. It was a young family when you started as well. So how did you balance your time?
Yes, I didn't have a family when I started. I had them a couple of years after my first kid was born. But I think it helps being an optimist. Like, can I swear on that? I was going to say.
Absolutely.
So shit happens, right? And you can either focus on that and then it brings you down, or you can just sort of compartmentalize it and move on. And everybody has stuff that goes wrong and brings you down. And so if you focus on that, you project it as well.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to draw a line and just keep going. And I think being an optimist helps.
Okay, so there's a little bit of acknowledge the shit and move on. There's a little bit of fake it till you make it. And there's a little bit of feel being the imposter, because it keeps you humble and on your toes.
Yeah.
Those are all wonderful
Good
tips.
summary.
I like it.
Boxes and Briefs is proudly brought to you by Gilligan Shepherd, the problem solvers in business.
All right, Richard, you're in SEO, but there are a lot of SEO companies now, cowboys and otherwise. How do you make your one unique?
So I think I like the idea of leading, not follow. You don't copy what anyone else is doing. You forge your own path. And like in the last year, we employed a lady in the US who's supposed to be the best in AI and search to help us guide our product. We brought in a chief AI officer, and so we're evolving our product. But I think it's just like the reason we've grown, I think, is because we do what we say we're going to do. We phone people back, and we actually care. We genuinely care. So if something's gone wrong, and it costs us money, it's going to cost us money. And if someone treats our staff in a way that wouldn't want to be treated, we'll just get rid of them, because life's too short. It's not all about the money, and I think that makes a big difference.
It does.
Do you think, though, that when you're starting, it is about the money and you'll put up with it for a bit to get moving?
There is an element of that,
Yeah.
but like we spend so many hours working.
Yeah.
Like, why work with people you don't want to work with? And so even back then, like, I remember we got rid of a client. I won't say who they are. They were paying us $5,000 a month, which was our biggest at the time. And it's because they're so rude to one of the girls that worked in the business. And nobody needs to go to work to be treated like that. You know, we're all just people. Like, we all should be equal. And so I think you need to cut things off if people are not behaving in the right manner.
Yeah, well, if it doesn't align with your values, right, you're not going to continue doing business with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And life's too short to deal with people you don't like. And
True. I know that as a reward, you got to go to Richard Branson's island and spend some time with him. What was that like?
Yeah, it was cool. There was like 25 entrepreneurs from around the world. There's 2 from New Zealand, just myself and Steve White, who owns Stony Ridge. Yeah. We all went around. Interesting time. Spent a week on Necker Island with Branson, and interesting guy.
Likeable?
Really, very charismatic. But there are also other sides that were interesting. I think I learned probably more from the other entrepreneurs that were there than I did from him. And there was a lady who was a dragon on Dragon's Den Island. There was a guy who'd created this company in the US who was turning over about $2.5 billion. And so there were some exceptional entrepreneurs.
Wow. Yeah.
Branson seemed to get engaged when there was an idea he liked, or when he was talking about, they were about to do Virgin Galactic, another flight, and he was talking about how the whole concept is you go up into orbit and then you'd come back down. It would take like getting an hour from Australia to the UK, and so he was very engaged in the things that he was kind of working on. At the other times he was like quite silly and doing lots of sporty stuff.
Okay. Can I ask what maybe any of the key takeaways you can remember from the other entrepreneurs?
So one of the guys, the ethos in their business was a Mexican thing, was familia, like it's a family, and they had such a good culture as a result of it, and that's something we've adopted in our own business. But I think just being around people. Out?
What does that culture look like practically? So
every Christmas we do a barbecue. We have kids are invited, parents are invited, husbands, wives, partners are invited. We get a guy dressed as Santa, or females, it happens as well, and we do presents for all the kids. We do, and so it's about, because lots of our employees are immigrants and that they don't necessarily have a family, and so that's part of just who we are. It's in our DNA, it's in our language, and it's how we kind of treat each other.
Yeah, it's like what you said before. You genuinely care, and you stick to what you say, and I think that's all just comes into play with culture as well.
Yeah. Okay, so you're doing all of this amazing stuff. You're running a huge company. What are your top 3 priorities in your business or life at the moment?
In terms of business, like we're doing this evolution with AI. We need to make sure that we kind of lead, as opposed to become a Kodak or something, or a Blockbuster Video. But
true.
Yeah, I think the core thing that moves you from being like a sort of owner-operator is the ability to delegate and trust people around you. And I'm quite lucky in that respect, because I'm rubbish at a lot of things, and so I bring people who are really good at stuff. Yeah, but that's the thing. You bring people that are good at stuff, and you let them do the things that you don't enjoy and that you're not that good at, and they just fly.
Yeah.
And then you can focus on the stuff that you do enjoy, and so that's real core. And I find I've invested in a few businesses, and the ones that don't scale are generally the ones where the CEO or founder are really talented, and so they've got to have their hands on everything, because everything has to go through them, and that stymies growth. It's a bottleneck, and so delegation is kind of key.
Okay, delegation, number 1. What's number 2?
Number 2 is kind of so I have this kind of personal principle. If we do something and it was on the front page of the Herald, would you be all right with it? If the answer is yes, then you do it. If the answer is no, don't bother doing it. You know, we all know right from wrong when it comes down to it, and a lot of people, especially when money's involved, will cut corners and do things. And as far as I'm concerned, like, that might give you a benefit in the short term, but in the long term, it's going to be detrimental. And so if you focus on doing the right things in the right way and behaving in a way that you would expect to be treated yourself, you can't go far wrong. And then you can empower the people that work for you to make decisions. You know, if they look at those various elements, like in your gut, you know if it's the right thing to do. If you were on the receiving end, would you be all right? And if the answers are yes, then do it. Don't have to ask.
Yeah. Good. Okay. And number 3?
Is
I'm loving these, by the way. I'm just like
bad stuff happens. Like early doors, we had some real, like, it was difficult. I think I've mentioned it previously. Like, my wife got cancer, and my most important employee handed in a notice to go to a competitor in the same week, right? And those are the kind of times when you don't even want to get out of bed, right?
Yeah.
But I think the difference between success and failure is when the hard times happen, you do still get out of bed, and you do still face the world, and you do not give up. You keep going, and everyone's going to have hard times. That's just life. Right? And everyone's going to have good times. But giving up in the hard times kind of cements those hard times. Whereas if you then push on and you get past it, it creates a different narrative in your own mind.
Yeah, rather than just being like just dwelling in it at home in bed, you know.
Do you let yourself do that though? When you're tired or it is hard, do you sometimes have a day in bed?
Give yourself permission.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's plenty of time. Like that time, you know, it was hard to push on. It wasn't like a normal, like, to do it.
No,
but I had people relying on me, you know, so kind of just
big
just
sense
do
of responsibility then.
And then, but if I hadn't done it, I look back now, you know, and it's surreal seeing all these people walk around the office. You know, that wouldn't be a thing. You know, if I had given up, and I was pretty close to doing so, and I'm sure lots of people would.
Yeah,
so, thank you.
It's amazing, very inspirational. All right, was there a particular moment where you felt scared, worried, fearful that your business was not going to survive?
Probably not that the business wasn't going to survive, but there's been moments where I've been screwed over quite a lot. Like, I intrinsically like people, and I don't get involved in interviews because I want to employ everyone. I'm not very good judge of character. There's been a few times where we've been screwed over, and it's an emotional, like, hit. You know, when someone
take it personally.
Yeah, well, it's really hard. Like, I've got this thing about like intrinsic sort of justice, and if I feel someone's behaved in a way that is unethical, it really offends my sense of justice, and I've had to work on that over time, because otherwise it just sort of eats you away. And so I kind of learned to just, you know, you don't have to deal with these people again. Like, feel it, experience it, don't sort of avoid it, but then draw the line and move on.
Okay, tell me about the moment when you felt like you've made it.
I still don't feel like I made it.
It's the imposter syndrome.
We think you've made it. Okay,
you've 100% made it,
so,
but there's always more, right?
Moments that were just like amazing.
So when I was saying earlier, when I got to my office once and I just see all these people kind of walking around that work for me, and it's like, that's surreal as.
So like little moments like that where it just kind of hits you.
Like, I've never have predicted it.
That's so cool.
So there are moments all the time, like when we sign a big client or we do really cool stuff, like
they're kind of reminders, I guess, eh?
In early days there was one thing, right? I spent $10,000 on a new website. Like, the first website was awful, and the second website I spent $10,000. I couldn't afford it. I got a designer to design it, developer to build it. My first inquiry from that website was Singapore Airlines. I didn't sign him as a client, but the fact that they contacted me through the website gave me confidence and taught me that a lot of it is around the way you present yourself online. And, you know, I talked about we and us, and it was me.
And the SEO.
But you've got to back it up. Like, if you sign these people and you take these people's money, you've got to do your best to try and deliver what you say you're going to deliver. You know, that's the real thing. And often companies get to sort of 10 people, and all of a sudden you've got to start to have layers. So it's different from a really small business. And if you don't think about systems and you don't think about the way you do things, the quality is going to go down, and so the business then starts to erode. And getting through those humps, I think it's around 10 people, and then around 25, 26, and then around 50. They're like different inflection points where the business needs different structure and people. And yeah.
So you have to grow the business with the people.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Richard, I'm a huge fan of your journey. I've enjoyed watching
Same.
it unfold, and thank you so much for your time. If our listeners wanted to get in touch or follow your journey, I know that they can find you on LinkedIn. You just look up Richard Conway.
Yeah, I'm easy. Like, anyone can contact me. It's Richard Conway. Company's Pure SEO. I'm relaxed as so.
Yes, you are. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Cool.
you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Boxes and Briefs is proudly brought to you by Gilligan Shepherd, the problem solvers in business.